And then I was also, like I said, I came here to the Canvas Credit Union because I had to.
I'm going to tell you that's not going to fly today. Airport office is going to explain that to you, so we can quit going over that piece of information.
While the airport security officer later mentions that Daniel won't be charged with trespassing for having gone to the bank without a boarding pass, the police officer mentioned a total of 5 warrants on Daniel that aren't extraditable out of Denver, meaning his presence in an airport could indicate a flight risk. Interestingly enough, Daniel is only acting calm during this stream, because he eventually uploaded a few videos of the moments preceding it where he was arguing and trying to justify him being there to the officer.
I just did business here.
Sir.
I'm waiting.
No, you have a boarding pass.
What?
You have a boarding pass.
I was at the Canvas Credit Union.
Sir.
I don't know why you are treating me this way. I went to Canvas Credit Union.
Do you have ID on you?
I do.
I can see it, please.
But I don't need
It's not
it.
a request.
I would be more than happy to leave. I'm not past security.
I asked you that already. Okay? And you chose not to. So we're going to advise you on trespass.
I don't need a trespass. Like, this is straight up harassment. I would be more than happy to just leave.
Well, we'll address that here in a minute, along with some other business.
But I did come from Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
Because I had another appointment, and then I
Where
went.
was that at?
I'm not obligated to say.
No, you're not. But was it here?
And then I came
Was it
here. No. And then I have another meeting tomorrow back in Boulder with my probation.
When you're on probation.
I'm not obligated to say.
Actually, you are. It's part of conditions of your probation.
I am on probation for trespass.
Well.
From a different location
Okay.
for a misunderstanding.
Okay.
As the officer calls it in, he mentions that they were in the airport's chapel and not the credit union, meaning Daniel probably hurried to the chapel when he saw the officer coming for him in an attempt to hide. When this didn't work, he started telling the officer that he was on his way to court anyway, which, if it's not already clear, is an absolute lie. If he's on his way to court, why is he at the airport? It's funny how he randomly rats himself out for being on probation for trespassing while he's trying to convince this cop that he wasn't trespassing this time. Following the incident, Daniel's record in Denver included 2 offenses: failure to appear in court and destruction of private property, with a court date scheduled for late January. His bond here is listed at being $500, but it appears he was released on a personal recognizance bond, which is when a defendant is trusted and expected to appear in court and abide by whatever bond conditions are offered. I think anyone remotely familiar with Daniel can attest to this being a terrible mistake.
My inspiration behind this haircut, I wanted it to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger got struck by lightning, just like Albert Einstein.
After his release, Daniel immediately took to social media to try and recontextualize what happened, making himself look like the victim of persecution. During the stream, the officer informed Daniel that the reason they knew he was holed up in the chapel was because another guy in the chapel had flagged him. You can imagine how easy it must have been to notice a stinking and unkept Daniel Larson trying to hide from the police in the same room as you. In an attempt to get revenge on this guy, he secretly recorded a video of him and uploaded it under the title, "This crazy mentally ill person called the police on me and got me trespassed and arrested today." In the video, the guy seems to exhibit some Tourette's tics, which may be why Daniel described him that way. A few days later, Daniel made a flurry of posts to his YouTube to update his loyal following on his legal status.
I missed Boulder County probation today because I'm out of money from getting arrested at Denver International Airport. I have showed my pay stubs to my probation officers and my case manager out of CU Boulder. I had to turn myself in last week to Denver Police for my warrant from 2020. The Denver County Police Department is aware of my warrants out of California and New York, Manhattan. I am now being told that they are aware of me not paying my taxes and will keep an eye on how much I make. Denver County Police Department is now trying to frame me and claiming that I am a burglar when nothing has ever happened. I'm being told by law enforcement and probation, no more excuses, housing, or jail. The courts are claiming that Grace Vanderwall needs to come to Colorado to the courtroom if she has an issue with anything.
I like how his arrest due to trespassing suddenly morphs into him turning himself in halfway through his uploads, and he just has to conclude it by trying to get Grace Vanderwall to show up in court. Some things never change.
Grace ended up having sex with Jacob Sartorius, and Grace is now pregnant.
I gave you my heart and you tore it apart.
He also claimed that his arrest caused him to miss his probation appointments, which could be him preemptively coming up with excuses for his inevitable capture due to probation violations, rather than missed appointments. His court date was set for the 23rd of that month. Care to guess what our boy was up to that day?
I am doing a fan meetup today at the Aurora Mall. $20 for unlimited pictures.
Most of his uploads from this day are recorded and posted from this mall, where he announces that he'd started college the day before, which is part of an elaborate ruse conducted by trolls who got on Zoom calls with him and just gave him fake information.
Now, the first king of ancient Texas, his name was Ashid Anfarad, and he was the first king. Now, that's important to remember because that will be on one of the quizzes that we have next week. All right, so if you need to take a screenshot of my presentation.
I think I saw this guy at a museum one time.
He invented the Caesar salad. He was the first leader of the United Nations, and he was the first person in the world to use pronouns. All right. Julius Caesar was addicted to nicotine, and you eventually banished all nicotine and nicotine users to Mexico.
Given that Daniel posted pictures of multiple plates of food, he was either with someone that day who paid for the meal, who may be these guys, or he was committing the crime of dine and dashing on the same day he was supposed to attend court. His criminal behavior also seems to have altered the course of his music career, marking his transition from pop to gritty gangster rap.
I have 2 rap songs dropping by March 2024. Don't ever think about dropping a song the same day I drop my music. You will get wiped out financially.
A few weeks passed by before he saw any sign of trouble, until suddenly, as he streamed in the early morning of February 3rd, he seemed pretty rattled.
I might have to go on lockdown. I don't know what the that car was doing. That's the 3rd time I've seen the same police officer follow me. Not like they can do anything. They're not after me. I haven't done anything. So they can't legally do anything.
He tried to calm himself down a bit by talking about what he was going to get for lunch and discussing how college students, whom he refers to as teenagers, were just getting out of class and were causing a ruckus in his area.
Fridays and weekends are terrible. Summer break is good, winter break is good, as long as it's not snowing.
This attempt was not working, as Daniel could be heard breathing heavily and walking faster, exhibiting clear signs of paranoia. Meanwhile, his bird of prey-like eyes darted all around. The one thing that his paranoia didn't seem to affect was his delusions, which remained as strong as ever.
I still need to also come up with $700 starting tomorrow, next week in the hotel. Well, I have class in an hour. It's the music class, but I don't have the music for it because they wanted me to use BandLab, and if they're not going to go over how to make the song in the class, they just say, oh, here, use this platform, do it. I'm getting so many gifts in this live stream, I might as well get an apartment tomorrow.
The gifts he got during the stream amounted to about $500 if his count is to be trusted, but still, that's not enough for an apartment. So what Daniel is probably trying to say is that he wants to spend it all on an expensive hotel room and then go back to being homeless 2 days later, stealing food and electricity from a mall. As the stream goes on, he complains about not having music production know-how and claims that Clark should learn and do it for him. For those of you who haven't seen the previous videos, ever since Daniel has had an online presence, he's always maintained a delusion that he's a successful singer-songwriter, and one of the ways trolls found to successfully capture his attention is to present themselves as a record label representative or manager. Clark was the last person to play the role of Daniel's manager, mostly during the year of 2023, and he was particularly infamous for mindlessly enabling Daniel. After complaining about him, Daniel follows up with the announcement he will be running for UCLA government.
It is true, I am running for the UCLA government, and the elections are today. I did find out where the drones were coming from, so UCLA is working with the Chinese government. I was being told that people are being followed by the Chinese government on and off campus. And also, there is no drone, so stop talking about the drones.
It's funny that the people in the chat keep talking about drones to try and make him even more paranoid. Later on, he announces that he will be purposely violating his probation.
I'm gonna be possibly in a new movie, so I'm gonna be traveling. Whether the probation allows it or not. I've already been accepted. It's not like I can just quit that job.
As he grows increasingly concerned about being followed, he basically starts stimming about his manager, Clark, Bob, and Tina, and Grace Vanderwall, blaming them for his life being messed up and him being homeless. I realize that some of you guys may not know who any of these people are, so I'll explain them as quick as I can. Besides Clark, whom we've already introduced, we have Bob, a longtime patron of Daniel, who basically adopted the role of his caretaker after his family could no longer handle him. His presence in Daniel's life can be summarized in him occasionally sending Daniel some money, which he always spends all at once in stupid ways. And whenever Daniel gets arrested, Bob is the one who bails him out and sets him up with a new phone, which restarts the larceny cycle. And I can't forget to mention that Daniel's only way of repaying him for these acts of charity is by blaming him for not helping enough and gaslighting him, which sometimes evolves to outright physical violence.
Calling the police. Okay.
You're not helping me. You're not helping.
You're hitting me.
But you're not helping me. The motel threatened to kill me.
We also have Grace Vanderwall, a singer among many other teen and preteen stars that Daniel was obsessed with when he started posting online, and Tina Vanderwall, Grace's mother. While the trolls pretended to be pretty much everybody Daniel was infatuated with, for whatever reason, Grace was the one he latched onto the most, as he believed that she was genuinely dating him and was going to buy him a house and go on a world tour with him. But before I go any further in this video, I have to sell things. This video is brought to you by the Turkey Tom Shaker Cup, available for a limited time only. This is actually my first time being outside ever, because outside of this, I spend a lot of time locked in on the computer, and you know I gotta have my caffeine. And what better way to do it than with this cup and its regularly scheduled programming. All right, so back to the stream we were talking about before. Eventually, you can hear sirens in the background, which sends Daniel into an even deeper state of paranoia as he argues with his chat.
The cops are not coming, guys. LOL.
Just a few minutes before the stream was abruptly ended, Daniel walked into some sort of open establishment and suddenly started loudly talking about World of T-Shirts, Joshua Block, saying he got really drunk and violated court. As insane as it is, I think this was an impromptu attempt to frame Josh for what he himself had done, as moments later, this happened. It's hard to hear, but someone calls out saying, "Hey," right before Dan looks away and ends the stream. Most likely, the person calling out for him was a police officer, as later on, it was revealed that this was the moment he was suddenly approached by cops who held and arrested him.
Wait, hold on, bro. Glove up. Put gloves on. You got some extra? I should. So we're gonna take him from the chair, and we'll go across, so we're not fighting on that pillar.
We're gonna go ahead and make contact with him right now.
Hey, buddy, it's okay.
Relax,
it's okay.
Relax.
Just remember to arrest. You got a warrant for your arrest. Relax.
Good handcuffs.
Okay, relax. Deep breath. Calm down. We're good.
This same officer informed Daniel that he had 3 standing warrants for his arrest, and that he had been trespassed for life from the mall he was at. I gotta say, these cops were extremely good at handling someone as wiry as Daniel, as when he started rattling off his excuses for not showing up to court, the officer explained to him he just needed to call them to reschedule his appointment, which Daniel claimed he was working on doing. The specific warrant being enforced here was a $20,000 statewide probation violation warrant, but he had 2 others in specific counties that he had been running from. When they got to the station, Daniel asked to speak to a sergeant to complain about the arresting officers being too aggressive with him.
So when I was met with the officers that arrested me, they grabbed both my arms and put them behind my back.
It's called arrest control.
Right.
Okay.
And I feel like it was kind of aggressive.
It may have been a little aggressive.
Yes.
Okay, do you know what kind of warrants you have?
I do, yes.
Okay. Do you think that due to the fact that you have a history of being violent with other people, that maybe that's why they did that?
I just feel like it was aggressive for the meaning of what they were trying to do at that time. I feel like if I was being aggressive, then I feel like that makes sense.
Okay, did you make statements that you were going to shoot up the Aurora Mall?
I did not.
For context, between his previous arrest and this one, an incident took place in which an unidentified troll near Daniel's area noticed that he was loitering at the Aurora Mall, the same mall he was in on the day of his last arrest. This troll proceeded to approach Daniel and douse him with an entire bottle of fart spray.
Wait, just try it.
While it's obviously not okay to initiate altercations like this, especially in places like a mall where it can result in damage to the property or harm to Daniel, he responded in an equally not okay fashion.
Dude's freaking out. Holy sh**. Hey, someone get security. This guy's freaking out. So, hey, this guy's freaking out. Someone get security. He's knocking over. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, back up.
You're going to jail! I know security here!
I can't play it here due to YouTube's amazing rules, but Daniel could also be seen hitting himself and heard hitting something else in the background. Following the incident, Daniel made a series of posts to TikTok claiming that he had been doused with pee, a stolen bottle of perfume, as well as alleging that the troll tried to get Daniel to go to his car and hotel forcibly, which is very odd. This incident was quickly absorbed into Dan's delusions, as he made another post saying Bob refused to help his security team and the Vanderwall family and management to protect Daniel from the assault. Despite suffering no injury as a consequence, a day later, Daniel checked himself into a hospital. Yes, you heard right, there was a celebrity in the hospital.
Excuse me, there's currently a celebrity in the hospital.
I don't give a fuck.
Dang. There is currently a celebrity in the hospital. We are asking that the message gets out.
He stayed there briefly, but after he was medically cleared and discharged, he was found sleeping in the lobby. Of course, it was pretty easy to figure out he was fine and was just a homeless person looking to stay inside, but it wasn't so easy to get him to leave the hospital.
You've been harassing me.
I've been asking you politely to leave because you've been discharged.
I want the police to show up.
He's on his way up here to escort you out.
I want the police. I don't care. Trespass me from the hospital. That's a violation.
No, it's not. That's me enforcing the hospital's policy and the right to be safe.
So I guess I won't go to any hospital in the state of Colorado. I guess I will just leave Colorado because you can't trespass me from a hospital if I was a patient.
I certainly can trespass you because you've been discharged, you've been medically cleared.
It's always wonderful to see how lippy he gets when he's arguing with women instead of men. Despite his many intellectual disabilities, he clearly understands when he can get away with this kind of behavior. It's also funny to see him randomly bringing up leaving the state of Colorado because he's aware of his warrants and has probably been thinking about leaving to avoid his legal troubles. His tone noticeably changes when a guy, probably security, joins the conversation.
But you're waiting for the bus, so you need to be at the bus stop, waiting for the bus.
And the bus stop, I know exactly where it is. It's
okay. We're not gonna argue. You already told her to leave, right?
Right.
So we leave immediately, or you leave with me now.
But
leave or go with me. Your choice.
Why would I go with you?
We're done, but because you're trespassing.
I'm not trespassing at all. I was a patient.
I'm not gonna argue with you. You're trespassing. It's time to go now, or you're gonna end up in the jail. Your choice.
I don't understand because I was a patient. I got discharged.
You've been discharged and you were sleeping. You were told to leave.
I wasn't sleeping in the lobby at all.
Because I was there, so it's time to go now.
I wasn't sleeping in the lobby at all, okay. And I told you I was waiting for.
Or I'm about to put you in handcuffs and take you to jail.
You can't do that because you like literally
so
can't.
You're under arrest for trespassing.
No, I'm not.
Are you ready to go?
No, I'm not because I'm leaving.
But just as Daniel was about to get out of one of these trespass situations without getting himself in even more legal trouble, we can see the tongue of rage emerge from its dark crevice. And this is what he does next.
And they previously wouldn't even give me a bus ticket. They were telling me to call Bob and get him to come pick me up. I guess I'll plan a mass on the place. Holy treat me that way. I'll treat him with disrespect. Daniel McDougall guy, the secret investigator guy, he thought I could actually make a bomb. I don't even know how to use fireworks. Are you kidding me? And the guy wants to come up to my family and say that I was making a bomb just because I was famous. Like, what the f? Maybe I should go to Bob's house and actually with a gun and a bomb and bomb his house. Because I have a right to defend myself. Apparently I can't self-defend myself, but I think I'm gonna call Bob and I'm gonna leave him a long voicemail about if he doesn't give me $3,000 so I can get a motel room for a week and get an apartment, then I might actually show up on his property.
Although it's cut together here for your viewing experience, after he made the shooting threat, he spent several minutes in silence, probably because he remembered he could actually get in trouble for saying things like that, especially when directed at a hospital of all places. Then he brings up his previous bombing threats and a certain secret investigator, Daniel McDougal, who apparently interrogated him about his threats. At this point in time, most people were under the impression that this, like many other things he mentions during his streams and videos, was just a fake name some troll used to pretend to be a police officer to get some responses out of Danderson. Later on, we'll find out that's not quite the case. Regardless, this stream and the things he was yelling during his altercation with the fart spray troll not only got him banned from the mall, but also attracted the attention of the authorities, who must have had some kind of APB out on him for days before his arrest. This brings us back to his February arrest, when he tries to convince the sergeant his ban from the Aurora Mall was the work of one of his fans.
Another thing is I am extremely popular on social media.
Okay.
So it doesn't surprise me that one of my fans would have called the Aurora Mall and then claimed I said something I didn't, because that happens all the time as well.
Okay, all right.
Regardless of whatever gibberish he was trying to tell every cop that was handling his booking, he was uneventfully taken into jail. While you're getting the beat by beat right now, at the time this was happening, most people were completely out of the loop and desperate for some updates on Mr. President. Their desperation got to the point that, in an attempt to listen to his first court appearance, they ended up swarming some other guy's court appearance who happened to also be named Daniel Larson, and it got that court stream shut down. 1 week later, the real Danderson was slated to have an appearance, but it was in a court in Jefferson County, and he obviously couldn't attend due to being in jail in Arapahoe County. A day later, he was finally seen through an online court stream, and while not very many online observers managed to get into the stream, one of the people who did left a comment on Reddit relaying the information. Daniel's attorney said he has been diagnosed with autism and PTSD. They mentioned that his close friends are assisting him in finding shelter in motels. They also mentioned that he has a following on TikTok and is earning money on his own through his fame. He's getting a psychological evaluation and a new court date next week. There should be a $500 cash option for the secured bond. Daniel said, "I just don't have anyone that can do a security bond. I just don't have any family. I will be able to get a psych evaluation by tomorrow." During his time in jail, former manager Flexberger released 4 phone calls between Daniel and Clark, who was his current manager. This is what he immediately says as soon as he gets on the first call.
Yeah, so apparently this is pretty much all Bob's fault. But it's because, don't tell him this, but it's because I haven't been going to my probation meetings because he won't give me my money to be able to get there.
The rest of the call is a lot less entertaining as Clark feeds into Daniel's delusions of fame, talking about how the fans leaked the arrest body cam footage and not questioning Daniel when he talks about getting support from Bob and Grace to get him out of jail. The primary concern for Daniel is to get his fans to do teamwork, by which he means everyone pitching in to pay his $20,000 bail, which was still that high when the call was made. Now, the secondary concern is preventing someone named Cheng from taking over the UCLA and making it legal to eat dogs. The next call has some more interesting moments.
People are going around to cell showing all of my Photoshop, not even the real photos, but Photoshopped photos of
Are you serious?
After this one, it seems that Daniel was allowed to have video calls, as he has a camera feed in parts of it.
He's telling me to tell the courts that if they don't get me housing, Bob's gonna kill himself and all this weird stuff. And it's like, no, like, please just, I don't want to be involved in all that garbage. Well, he's 70 years old.
Yeah.
And he's acting like being 70 years old gives him the authority. And all it's doing is it's bringing down my life. It's framing me is what it's doing.
Here, try.
And in the end,
he should be the one to bail me out because he's the one that's been giving me all my money.
Here, try and see if you can turn your camera on. I want to see if you're doing good.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would talk to Tina and kind of go from there. I should go for now to save battery and to save money. Message Tina and Grace and see if they can bail me out.
Even while constantly putting Bob down for seemingly no reason, he still expects him to bail him out just because he used to give him money. It's important to say that Bob had absolutely nothing to do with this, and any communications between Daniel and Bob during this time period are actually between Daniel and trolls pretending to be Bob. There is another call, but due to it just covering things we've already heard, and Daniel further giving himself over to his delusions about Grace, it's not worth getting into. While he was initially looking at anywhere between 30 days and a whopping 18 months for violating his probation, on the 1st of March, his plot armor muscled through, and he was released with a reinstated probation.
Hello everybody, it is March 1st, 2024, and I got released from the Boulder County Jail.
Just a couple of days later, he responded to some YouTube comments who were asking him questions about what went on by saying that he was assaulted and raped in jail, adding that he was in a pod with murderers. Despite being released, things didn't get much better for Daniel, as restaurants were consistently kicking him out or refusing to serve him altogether due to his reputation. His new thing after this latest arrest of him pretending to call his probation, which I assume meant his probation officer, but no one would pick up, only for there to be no dial tone, no sound indicating a missed call, no sounds of buttons being pressed when he's dialing, just Daniel muttering to himself as if he was doing something and visibly shaking his head to demonstrate his frustration. There were some other questionable activities during this period as well, such as Daniel making a post titled "Modeling," where it was just a picture of himself shirtless. What an absolute specimen. It didn't take long for his paranoid delusions to return, as Daniel made posts about hearing gunshots, seeing the police come, receiving paychecks from Interscope Records, and being ghosted by his management and Bob. Like the boy who cried wolf. Due to how much Daniel made up, it was hard to say when he was talking about something that actually happened. So when he started talking about being physically hit by someone named Dylan Clark and kicked out of the homeless shelter, many thought he was simply talking about his manager.
I just got kicked out of the Boulder County homeless shelter because Dylan Clark was back and he hit me.
This supposed fight was followed by Daniel making a phone call to report on this Dylan Clark person and claiming he was being investigated by Daniel's cybersecurity team. In reality, Dylan Clark, or as he's usually referred to, Blark, was someone who had already conducted a few interviews with Daniel and had gotten in legal trouble for calling in threats to schools. The thing about this is, Blark was also a compulsive liar, so there was no shot anyone would immediately get a clear story out of these guys. However, it turned out Daniel had told the truth, at least in part, since he did get in a scuffle with Blark, which got him kicked out of the shelter. This wasn't that big of a deal since Daniel had already proved himself to be incompatible with other shelter rules, like not streaming on his phone all the time. But the thing is, housing was a requirement of his recently reinstated probation, and since he was out of the shelter, he was in violation of it. Of course, that's without mentioning the dozen other court dates and violations he was committing left and right, so it really was just a matter of time until he was caught again. Before the cops got to him though, Daniel had another minor conflict, and this time it was against, water.
You drinking water?
That's disgusting.
You might as well be drinking cum.
And the water was winning. First, he got so carried away on his phone that he walked through an entire section of the sidewalk that was completely covered in freezing cold water. Later on, an unknown person doused him with water late that night. But before Commander H2O could secure a dominant victory against the Larsonian army, on the 19th, the police found him at a random grassy off-road location and arrested him. He was processed for being a fugitive, and once again, it seemed like the charges were piling up against him in such a way there would be no way he got away with it. Then, he got away with it, having his probation reinstated for the umpteenth time. After this, he was free for another 2 weeks, although we can lay the blame for that completely on the court that released him, as Daniel was doing everything in his power to get himself captured again. Within a couple of days of his release, he announced there'd be an imminent financial crash, setting the grounds for his first big meltdown from this period.
The FBI can go ahead and press legal charges on me. I will just kill their ass.
He soon followed this up with a new stream where he sprinted around, claimed he was being followed, and afterwards posted a video titled "Shots Fired," where he ran around to the sound of Pop Smoke, and he can be heard repeating the phrase throughout it. Clearly, there's some major bout of paranoia going on here for reasons that are impossible to understand. Over the next few days, Daniel keeps bringing up meeting with the FBI, and more specifically, being wanted by the US Secret Service, which once again ties back to the mystical Daniel McDougal figure. Danderson apparently tried to properly attend his court hearings and his probation appointments, but failed to do so multiple times, meaning he was going to be arrested again, this time for violating his bond stipulations. At the end of the month, he ended up at the hospital for unknown reasons, and 2 days later, someone pulled the fire alarm at the hotel he was staying at, which many speculate was actually Daniel. Whatever the case truly is with the fire alarm, on the same day, he got on a bus to go back to Denver, which, as far as I'm aware, he wasn't allowed to do as he had court meetings to attend in the county he was already in. Consequently, he was arrested again for being a fugitive, only to be released again the following day. You see, the warrant on him was only concerned with the hearings he missed, and completely unaware of his innumerable bombing threats on TikTok. The last couple of arrests were related to the original charges Daniel got during the December 2023 Olive Garden incident, wherein he pulled the fire alarm at an Olive Garden and went absolutely ballistic as the staff tried to kick him out, claiming there were FBI vehicles outside and that he was going to meet with Grace, as well as Secret Service agent Daniel McDougal.
You guys were back in the back printing off my nudes off of a website. I'm performing a citizen's arrest, so the FBI is outside.
Was that the bite of 87?
While it had been months since this incident, Daniel was still in the same headspace.
This is a message to the feds, the FBI, CIA, the US government, and Bob and everybody on Earth. Better not try to twist what I am saying and take little bits and pieces of my social media and try to incriminate me and try to press charges on me. You guys are trying to take what I say, take the things that I've said, and twist the entire story around. If anyone does that, there will be a massive, massive lawsuit. I am friends with Donald J. Trump, and when he's president, I will make sure that he takes down the feds.
As my first order of business, I hereby declare martial law. You have to take out their families.
But I'm not going to sit here and play games where the feds are like, oh, you threatened us, you said this, you said that, when you don't even know the entire reason why.
On the 6th of that month, he ensured a speedy return to lockup as he made a stream where he did pretty much everything he wasn't supposed to do, and once again attracted the attention of law enforcement for the things he said.
I will bomb your house! Bomb you! Bomb you! Bomb you! Bomb you! Kill you! Kill you! Call the feds on me, you—
When the serpent's tongue is poking out, you know he means business. His many threats against Bob, every police station in the world, the White House, and Daniel McDougal would be the key elements to getting him locked up for good. Funnily enough, it seems this meltdown was triggered by Daniel being kicked out of a Buffalo Wild Wings. And honestly, I can understand. Despite this insane episode, Daniel spent the rest of the month mostly behaving himself, attending court, and trying to obey his probation. But unfortunately for him, it was too little, too late, as his fate was already sealed. Unbeknownst to him, his threats to the almighty Bob meant he had no chance of keeping his freedom. On the 27th, Daniel has a brief and mostly undocumented run-in with the police, and although he's not arrested on the spot, this incident is probably what led to what came next. He gets kicked out of yet another B-dubs the next day, and probably aware he was going to get caught and arrested again for missing court appointments and dine and dashing, he announced online that he was on his way to Boulder, where he had every intention of continuing his rampage. However, before he could go, on the 30th, he was arrested for the last time. And this time, it wasn't for some petty county charge, but instead, a federal warrant for the bombing threats he had been making online for the past year. All the way back in August of 2023, Daniel posted a video titled "Daniel Larson on his way to meet up with the investigator," where he talks about meeting with Secret Service agent Daniel McDougal Google to talk about the things Daniel had said during the 7-Eleven incident. Namely, he said he would have the White House bombed after a couple of trolls stole Daniel's dog. Although this stealing was quite justified, given that Daniel wasn't treating the dog properly and didn't even have the means to feed it, as he was homeless at this time. Agent McDougal has been somewhat of a recurring theme, especially when Danderson broaches the topic of blowing up people or buildings. As I already said, many people assumed this was just a troll who was presenting himself as some kind of official to gain Daniel's trust. But to the surprise of everyone, in Daniel's court documents, we can see that the person in charge of Daniel's case was none other than FBI agent Daniel McDougal. For a whole year, McDougal was apparently keeping track of Larson's online activities, which is really funny to me. Imagine working your whole life to become an FBI agent, and instead of investigating terrorism or organized crime, you get tasked with following the online activities of Daniel Larson. I don't know if that's a dream scenario or a nightmare scenario, but whatever it is, that's his life. Over the 4 pages of his indictment, Daniel had 6 counts of threatening to use explosives and 1 count of interstate communication threats. I imagine that these may sound a little scary if you don't know the context and have no idea who Daniel Larson is, but it's hilarious if you look into what each of these counts is actually about. A couple of them are related to the July 3rd Community Tab incident, when Daniel said he would bomb a courthouse, the headquarters of both Spotify and Reddit, and the White House.
I am done, and I will not stop until the White House is blown up.
Then we have the August 29th meltdown, when trolls got under Daniel's skin by pretending to be Grace and claiming she was cheating on him with Bob and Tyrone. In response, Daniel threatened to kill Beyonce, himself, and Grace Vanderwall, then threatened to drop bombs on the White House, Columbia Records, all of the US government, every single police station in the world, and Bob's house. Then he tried to dox Grace, and last but not least, he called his manager at the time the N-word. Although there have been some people who make accounts pretending to be Daniel to say incriminating stuff, Daniel ensured that people knew he was the real deal by posting a video called Proof for N-word Grace Vanderwall I Am Hitting Myself, where he did what was said in the title while wishing that she was dead. There were probably a lot of other things that he said that are unfortunately gone, the reason why being that due to how fast he spammed his community post feed, not all of them have been archived. The other 2 incidents that contributed to the charges against him were the March 23rd and April 6th meltdowns, which we've already gone over, and the Christmas Day meltdown, in which Daniel specifically said he was going after none other than Agent McDougal. While there were many instances where Daniel claimed he'd been communicating with Agent McDougal, there were also some other confirmed instances of people pretending to be him, some of which were caught by Daniel himself. Because of this, it's impossible to know which ones were real and which ones were trolls. Regardless, if they had any communications where McDougal tried to advise against making terroristic threats on TikTok, they clearly had no effect. As it's laid out by Daniel's court documents, all of the counts he faced could add up to 65 years in jail and $1.7 million. Of course, rarely do people get sentenced to the exact full amount of their counts, but knowing Daniel, anything is possible. He could try to represent himself and destroy his case so badly that he got the full ride, or he could go free out of nowhere. Surprisingly, despite the FBI's year-long surveillance of Daniel's online activities, it doesn't seem like there was any emphasis on looking into the many times Daniel admitted to watching illegal videos of children. Literally one day before he got arrested, he made a community post which read, "I watched CP because the FBI and US Secret Service showed me what it was." Very bold move. I'm sure that'll look good on the eventual court transcript. While I try not to wish ill will on anyone, it's only fitting that, along with Daniel, it seems that his manager, Clark, was also in the crosshairs of the police for allegedly being an accomplice to Daniel's activities. While there have been multiple managers over Daniel's career, if we can call it that, Clark held that position for the longest period of time, at 10 months straight. Meanwhile, Flexberger, a former manager of Daniel's, consistently highlighted that despite this being funny, Daniel was a pathological liar with very creepy tendencies that frankly should be a matter of public knowledge. Consequently, Flex's approach to managing Daniel was to try and extract as many funny moments as he could, without actively empowering him to get in contact with other people. Meanwhile, it seems that due to issues in his personal life, Clark became parasocially infatuated with Daniel, speaking with him over 10 hours a week every single week. While it's universally unadvisable to directly interact with people like Daniel just just beyond observing them. Clark didn't just interact with him, but he actively enabled all of his delusions, which definitely drove him further into the paranoid schizo state he was in the last few months that he was free. It may sound harmless or just dumb, but his management approach led to two situations: the Golden Hotel incident and the Olive Garden incident, where Clark told Daniel that Grace would be at a certain establishment and egged him on to the point where Daniel became belligerent toward the staff and caused serious property damage. It also didn't help that Clark had a whole Discord server set up around interacting with Daniel, which is just about as bad of an idea as you can have. Now, this isn't to say some of Daniel's past managers, including Flex, were saints or that their behavior should be reproduced, but Clark's approach was specifically bad given how friendly he was to Daniel. Additionally, in December 2023, Flex leaked some phone communications Daniel had with Clark, where this is said.
What he's doing is he's blaming you for being a fake lawyer, okay? Everything is true, but you are a fake lawyer. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this Daniel McTuckle guy. He is saying I have to do a lie test, a lie detection test. In other words, when I say you're my lawyer, he's saying he's not a real lawyer.
I don't know exactly when this call was made, but based exclusively on what Daniel and Clark are saying, it seems that Clark was obstructing McDougal's investigation by pretending to be and convincing Daniel that he was his real lawyer. While this fixation on Daniel isn't as bad as, let's say, Isabella Janke's fixation with Chris Chan, Clark also claimed that he was doing all of this to put Daniel in jail, but clearly he was making no real genuine efforts to have that happen. The worst part about it is that Clark was financially enabling Daniel for the duration of his management, which is probably how Daniel managed to pay for buses to travel from county to county. Despite his involvement having proven to be harmful, even after Daniel was locked up, Clark continued to communicate with him regularly. The first call took place on the 1st of May, when Daniel explained how the arrest actually went down.
This time the Fed got me, and Bob told me that it wasn't going to happen and he didn't believe me. And yesterday, and sure enough, the Feds were there and they charged me with 7 counts of threats.
7 counts of threats?
And Associates.
Yep, under federal court.
Holy sh...
While he was lucid enough to accurately lay out what he was charged with without lying, he immediately followed it up with this.
The Feds apparently are looking into Bob for his finances, and the Feds are also, on top of that, now looking into my bank statement, see the real amount that he was giving me.
It's like he can never get in any trouble without instantly trying to drag Bob down with him. What's likely to be the real explanation for what Daniel is saying is that McDougal, whose specialty as an FBI agent was fraud, was suspicious about Daniel's earnings, most of which came from Bob, who kept him afloat for the majority of his career. Later on in the call, Daniel mentions that he's now considered a flight risk and that they're considering moving him to a higher security facility. His public defender's strategy to get Daniel out of jail was to explain that he doesn't know how to make explosives and didn't mean any of the threats that he said, as he only said them because he was panicking. While these things are both true, like always, Daniel pairs it with a lie.
And I don't have a violent history like anything like that.
Exactly.
Excluding all of the times he destroyed property, we know this to be untrue, since all the way back in 2017, Daniel's first documented arrest was for hitting his mother, who was paralyzed and wheelchair bound, and hitting his grandmother, who, according to his own mom, was sick and dying. Both of their conditions are publicly verifiable, and both of these women have since passed away. So rest in peace, and God bless them for putting up with the maniac that is Danderson. While the felony third-degree assault charge he got for it was dismissed, he was deemed guilty of misdemeanor harassment and sentenced to 44 days in jail, although Daniel is known to lie about this. In his version of the story, the case as a whole was dismissed, and his mother deserved to be hit due to allegedly being abusive towards him, hitting him with belts for 15 years. Interestingly enough, he doesn't mention his grandmother at all when he talks about this. Besides the concerns about Daniel's violent behavior, it's also claimed that the judge wants him locked up so that he won't get released and immediately go back to social media, as that seems to be the main source of his delusions and problems. Despite looking down the barrel of serious legal punishment, Daniel not only maintained a pretty good outlook on it, but also adds that he's told his public defender will be reaching out to Grace, claiming that they're now engaged. It's unbelievable how far this Grace Vanderwall thing has gotten, and it's hard to believe there was once a time when Daniel didn't think they were in a relationship. When going over his charges, Daniel mentions that the prosecution was focused on the threats Daniel made towards the DDRC, the Developmental Disabilities Resource Center in Lakewood, Colorado, where Daniel used to stay before he was homeless. police. Unlike the majority of his other threats, which yielded nothing but potential jail time for Daniel himself, his threats against the DDRC resulted in the entire facility being evacuated and a bomb squad unit being detached to clear the building, which, as you can imagine, was quite stressful for the staff and patients and expensive for the police. But Daniel's take on it is pretty interesting.
After like comments he made one time, they had to evacuate like the whole building or something.
Yep, and they brought in bomb sniffing dogs.
Jesus Christ.
Because like the ERC just took it so seriously. Which, I mean, proves kind of how stupid they are, you know, because they know me so well that like they know I'm not going to do that. But it's not kind of ridiculous.
Like, why would they even waste?
What's particularly entertaining about this call is that when Daniel pivots to the FBI's interest in Clark in the Discord server, you can almost hear his heart sink.
The FBI is still saying things about you, and not only you, but now Discord server. Because I know you're
Property of Larson Lee.
Look at this. Jesus Christ, this is a whole mess now.
Yeah, so the feds are just trying to get me, you know, like, they're trying to call me crazy when it's like, you know, because this is what I did, and
I agree. Why would you lie? And
Daniel's read of the situation is that instead of having him arrested, McDougal should have simply cut contact with Daniel. Before the call comes to an end, Daniel reveals that McDougal tried breaking his delusion by showing him a message that Grace Vanderwall's mother, Tina, once sent him. Stop saying my daughter's name. Stop saying you are in a relationship with her. You are scaring her and our family. Everything you have said and done has been in your mind. You need to access some mental health support and stop harassing my daughter. I have contacted the authorities and will continue to press the issue if you don't stop making disturbing videos. Your followers have harassed my daughter long enough. Stop. In a shining example of his accountability and emotional control, Daniel said, I understand. I'm ending my life tonight. Everyone has messed up everything. I actually think this interaction was what gave Daniel his tick of saying my family and our family during his aimless ramblings, as if he were speaking for the Vanderwalls or some kind of extended Larson family. Unfortunately, McDougal's attempt to show these messages to get Daniel to realize what was going on did not work, as he simply explained it away as having happened years ago and said that Tina had since changed her mind. It's actually kind of impressive that they didn't get him on some kind of cyberstalking or harassment charge for this. Perhaps finally realizing the gravity of his involvement with Daniel, on the 6th, Clark decided that it was time to come clean, although it had some mixed results.
All of this has been, it's fake, man. I mean, I'm not Clark, I'm not a lawyer, I don't work for Interscope. Grace doesn't want to talk to you. There isn't Grace. The only reason Grace knows you is because she thinks either you're a predator and creep, and the only time you've ever talked to Tina was because she was telling you to back away. I mean, it hurts to say UCLA was fake, Interscope was fake. Every single thing that we did, it was fake. I mean, none of that was real, Daniel. I mean, and I can't keep leading you on here. And to be honest, you do need to learn your lesson. And I know we've acted like friends for the past, 9 months. But really, you're a sick guy, man. And I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt. Then I would see you send those to 15-year-old Sky Brown, say your things. You need to get some help. And I've been recording everything. We even worked with McDougal for a while, and I'm done. It's over, man.
Now, before we get to Daniel's response, I once again should note that while Clark is coming clean to Daniel here, he is not coming clean to the public, as he's still pretending that this was some kind of grand sting operation and that he was genuinely concerned that Daniel was a creep. In reality, he knew from the get-go just how bad Daniel was and got involved anyway because he was addicted to the entertainment he got out of it. Most of these managers, and more generally people who interact with lolcows, do so because they want to be a character in the lolcow story. It makes them feel relevant in a very sick way. And another point of his spiel here, Clark says that he won't be answering any more calls from Daniel, which, of course, was a lie, because he kept coming back for more attention. Fortunately, Clark performatively coming clean had absolutely no effect on Daniel, whose mind is an impenetrable steel trap of delusion.
to be honest, I kind of knew that you were trolling. And that's why I kept questioning everything.
Although people typically attribute a dramatic tone to this moment, the truth is that it made absolutely no difference at all. All it takes is for someone else to come around and tell Daniel that Grace is in love with him, and Daniel would fall for it again. Ultimately, he just wants his delusions to be true, and as long as that's the case, he'll continue believing them. Clark's radio silence lasted for about a day when Bob contacted him, telling him that Daniel had gotten into a fight in jail and wanted to talk to him. Although Bob immediately played it down, saying, "I took it that he had a fight in jail. If he actually did have a fight, it couldn't have been much. There was no indication that it disrupted his phone use." Additionally, the description of the Larson Leak Raw upload containing some of the evidence I've been talking about says that whatever this incident was, it must have been minor, since Daniel doesn't bring it up, and Clark forgot to even ask about it the next time they spoke. On the 9th, they spoke again, but it was brief and didn't add any new bits of information. One day later, Daniel's public defender introduced a motion for his immediate release, but the judge summarily denied this. Daniel then appeared in court and pled not guilty to all charges, but was ordered to remain detained regardless. Meanwhile, Clark took to Reddit to announce his supposedly permanent retirement as Daniel's manager.
"I was sticking around for the after effects, getting a feel of how everyone would respond, and I was right. You people need Daniel and will always need Daniel. If not Daniel, you'll find someone else who helps you feel better about yourself and your life. Some of you antisocial Reddit losers who have never spoken to a girl. I can understand how you don't communicate well or what manipulation is, but it's not a good reason to project on someone like myself. I truly don't care. Everything I did was for good. Everyone wanted him locked up. He's locked up. And I still got content during the fact that there were legit Secret Service agents involved. Enjoy your weird lolcow Reddit talk. It's funny. I found out about Daniel 9 to 10 months ago, probably like most of you, and did more than you guys could ever even imagine."
Clark out.
This pathetic farewell message got many people in the Daniel Larson subreddit to consider the possibility that Clark was shaping up to be their next person of interest, now that Daniel was behind bars. For context, time would prove that Clark was the one who was projecting, as a few months after Daniel was arrested, Clark tried to butt into World of T-Shirts and weasel his way into being a part of his story, only to get punched in the mouth for his efforts as Josh jogged away. When Clark tried to grandstand on the subreddit, someone replied saying, "Dude, you're going to jail. You're a dangerous person to have free, and the feds at this point know it too. And when you go down, unlike Daniel, no one will feel even slightly bad for you. Do you think any jury on earth is going to look at you as anything other than some shithead 20-year-old that long con destroyed a disabled man's life? You can brush it away all you want, but a jury won't." This sub is about to turn into a Clark sub. Within 2 hours of this post being made, Clark deleted not just his post, but his entire Reddit account. Granted, this post was just one among many, telling Clark just how much of a goofball he was being. But what's important is that it cemented Clark as a certified villain in the Danderson story. For the time being, however, Clark actually did stay away from Daniel, and for months, there's actually no documented instances of Daniel speaking to anyone outside of jail. In late May, some of his court dates were canceled, and he was ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation, probably as an effort to ascertain if he was even competent to stand trial. Soon after, he was transferred to FCI Inglewood, which is the same exact facility that Subway Jared ended up in. What a coincidence. As Daniel's court case slowly progressed, he was ordered to be committed and hospitalized in a facility for up to 4 months to make him competent to stand trial. Months went by, and while Clark hadn't engaged in any direct communication with Daniel, he remained active in the Discord, where he revealed that the last time Daniel tried to call him was June 30th. At this point, Clark actively wanted to get in contact with Daniel or Bob, but Bob wasn't picking up, and Daniel had to be the one to make the call, and he wasn't making it. Finally, in August, Clark noticed he missed a phone call from Daniel, meaning he was probably going to make another attempt soon. It took a while, but nearly a month later, Daniel called again, and this time, Clark managed to pick up.
Dang, Daniel, how you doing?
Absolutely terrible. My lawyer, my public defender, he is saying I'm incompetent and I'm going to get transferred to a psychiatric facility.
Daniel proceeds to list all the places he may end up in, many of which are in other states besides Colorado, an outcome that he and Bob don't want. I'm not sure how exactly Bob is involved, but while it's impossible to know if he's participating in the proceedings in any way, he most likely is still in regular contact with Daniel. Despite knowing that he's looking at a transfer to a psychiatric institution soon, Daniel remains steadfast in his intent of being released on time served, which more and more seems like like an impossibility. Additionally, Daniel reiterates that none of his charges should stick since he considers everything he did justified by the fact he was homeless and calling out for help. In a strange tangent, Daniel talks about how McDougal promised him many things, including having a wedding with Grace Vanderwall, none of which materialized. It's possible that the only reason Daniel suddenly brought McDougal up and tried to discredit him is that it seems that McDougal has mentioned the possibility of prosecuting him for his many questionable online activities regarding minors and not safe for work material. Immediately after talking about these promises, Daniel goes on a bit of a rant about how these claims are baseless, although he doesn't bring up any specifics since he knows how many times he's incriminated himself in the past. When this topic got too uncomfortable for Daniel, he pivoted to another lie, that the prosecution was now investigating Bob for having molested Daniel, although there is absolutely no evidence this was ever investigated or even considered by McDougal or anyone else. This once again seems to be Daniel randomly bringing Bob into every issue he has to try and push the blame on him. After this, Daniel gets into the topic of his jail conditions, and although I've already commented on this in past videos, whenever he gets particularly performative, he puts on this zesty tone of voice, almost like he's trying to emulate female celebrities in interviews.
Somebody was trying to fight me. People were calling into the jail, sending threats to me. And I'm like, guys, like, I'm famous. It's not my problem. I've been in protective custody on 22-hour lockdown a day over 2 months now. And people are still saying I don't know how to read books when I do. So that's another thing that's pissing me off. People are accusing me of not knowing how to read. Inmates and COs keep coming up to me like joking around about Grace, saying, oh, I'm in contact with her now. I'm dating her. You know, it's like, okay, do you have their number? Because I have their number. I'm not, like, I don't have it, you know, straight on me, but it's in my legal discovery. It's just blocked out.
Although some people have brought up his inability to read, I think his claim that everyone was bringing it up is simply him expressing his insecurity about being illiterate. Also, despite the things Clark said in his previous call and his Reddit posts, Daniel is back to believing that he is dating Grace, and once again, Clark is enabling it.
But my legal discovery straight up has conversations with the verified Tina, Grace's mother, where it's straight up talking about being in contact with me and saying Grace is not dating you, she's not aware of you. But then what I find weird is there's a straight up letter that got sent to the homeless shelter where it straight up is from the real Dave. And Dave, as we know, was wanting the relationship and the wedding all along. He has no problem with it, as we know, right?
Yeah, I mean, assuming so, yeah.
For context, Dave is Grace Vanderwall's father, who absolutely did not send Daniel any letters while he was in the homeless shelter. I didn't even know you could get mail in the homeless shelter. I can't tell if Daniel's just lying about who the letter came from, or if he's lying about getting a letter altogether, since he never stayed at a homeless shelter for more than a few days due to his inability to stop breaking their rules. Even if a troll wanted to send him a letter pretending to be Dave, I strongly doubt he'd be able to receive it, and that it would end up in his legal discovery. This is just another instance of Daniel producing reasons to be confused and allowing himself to believe whatever he wants to believe. After he's done complaining about his relationship with Grace not being taken seriously, he questions why he's not already out and why his trial keeps getting pushed back, as the call runs out of time. There wouldn't be any communication with Daniel for a month, and in the meantime, there was some progress with his case. In late September of 2024, his defender demanded that Daniel be sent into a psychiatric facility, which was already meant to happen due to the questions about his competency, but for whatever reason hadn't happened yet. This demand was made with the attached contingency that if he hadn't been evaluated by November 25th, the whole case would get dismissed, meaning Daniel would once again go free. Fortunately, the court established that Daniel's evaluation would begin in December. However, it seemed like his case would be dismissed if the year ended with no evaluation in sight. The Larsonian cycle was dangerously close to restarting, and it's at this point that an interloper bypassed Clark and somehow got in contact with Daniel. On October 7th, someone named Lil Sippy was called by Daniel, and although it's hard to figure out how or why this happened, the call was immediately made available for the consumption of Daniel's followers, and it contained some pretty interesting revelations.
My lawyer hasn't been getting back to me at all. I haven't spoken to him since early August. Also, my lawyer, for some reason, has been, the last time I talked to him, which was early August, right? He told me that I was never in contact with the Vanderwalls or the label. which is false.
You said
because I was in contact with Grace before and her mother.
So you said that there's something in your discovery for your legal cases confirmed that you were talking to the Vanderwalls or something?
Yes.
As we can see here, his lawyer hates Daniel because he's famous. Realistically, his lawyer probably actually got tired of trying to talk some sense into Daniel as he realized that Mr. President was a lost cause, opting instead to just work on his case without having to speak to him. Despite months having gone by, during which Daniel had no access to smartphones or the internet, he somehow maintained a pristine, frozen-in-time snapshot of his delusions. He follows it up with this.
It's confirmed, and there's even conversations in my legal discovery over social media where Tina has admitted to talking with me, which is true, where she's told me to stop listening to the trolls.
Somehow, Tina saying the same thing as Daniel's lawyer, which was that he never spoke to any of the Vanderwalls ever, became her telling him to not listen to the trolls. Conspicuously, he doesn't mention the letter from Dave, which I assume can be chalked up to him forgetting that he even told that lie in the first place. After this, Daniel explains how he can't be held liable for any of his threats because he was homeless and trying to survive. I don't know how threatening to blow up a disabled care facility makes homelessness more bearable, but to each their own. It did seem like his inability to hook himself up to an IV drip of trolls did make him slightly more articulate, but the side effect of this is that his lack of confusion almost makes him realize that the lies he's telling make no sense. For example,
So Tina wanted me to cut ties with Grace and stop talking to the impersonators and only talk to Grace. What Grace was doing was she was getting me in contact with her management behind Tina's back. Grace got me in contact with everybody. You see what I mean?
Based on this drivel alone, you can imagine why his public defender cut contact with him since August.
So Tina wanted me to cut ties with Grace and stop talking to the impersonators and only talk to Grace. What Grace was doing was she was getting me in contact with her management behind Tina's back. Grace got me in contact with everybody.
Even if Grace herself told him she's never spoken to him in his life, he'd find a way to retcon it and convince himself otherwise. I would include more of this particular rant, but it's so schizophrenically meaningless that there's barely anything of value. Basically, Daniel thought that Tina was going to set him up with a $35 million record deal, but his family intervened and said it was fake. I don't know what he means by family, since he has absolutely no family members he's in contact with, so maybe he means Bob. When Sippy manages to get a word in edgewise, he tries to convince Daniel to act sane so that he gets out of jail sooner rather than later. This was Daniel's response.
Nobody's telling me why I'm incompetent. Nobody has been telling me anything. They've been saying that I've been doing things very well and I shouldn't even be in custody. That's the word from the jail.
What Daniel doesn't realize is that everyone's treating him nicely precisely because he's clearly out of his mind, not because they think he's normal. Once again, Sippy tries to set Daniel on a path toward being declared competent, but it fails miserably.
You should probably just not mention Grace or Tina to any of the psychiatrists, because I don't think that's really going to help your case.
I don't think it's helping either.
Yeah.
Like, I asked my lawyer for verification on if it was really the real Tina.
And he said no.
And he said no, which is weird because it's confirmed that yes, it was actually them. I'm not saying that there was a fake involved. I was definitely at one point in contact.
Eventually, after enough tries, Sippy manages to get Daniel to say the real reason he's not willing to do what he's saying and simply stop mentioning Grace to his lawyers.
And I don't want you to sit in Springfield indefinitely. So, you know, there's the old saying, you fake it till you make it. You just gotta, you know, realize what makes you sound crazy and not say that and just fake it until you can be found competent, and then just, you know, take a plea deal. And you've already sat for a long time. They'll probably just give you time served.
With her. Daniel then explains the legal strategy he intended to follow.
So if you do end up being found competent, you're going to try to go to trial and beat get a not guilty verdict on the allegations?
That's what we're trying, and my lawyer has told me that we're trying to get a not guilty. He thinks I'm a victim. As far as trying to make everything work with the Vanderwalls, that's what I'm concerned about now. Because I told my lawyer I'm not going to plead guilty, and I'm not going to even make a decision until until I know what's going on with Grace.
Based on this, I'd say that if he ever does get declared competent to stand trial, he will probably get a worse sentence than if he just pled guilty. Imagine he actually puts himself in a position where, during the proceedings, he needs to explain to the judge he actually is Grace Vanderwaal's boyfriend and needs to consult her on his defense. The worst part about this is not that Daniel proceeds to explain to Sippy that he's considering cutting Bob off due to him not being helpful with his career and publicity, and that he's planning to only be in contact with the Vanderwaals from now on. The thing is, for the months he's been in jail now, besides Sippy and Clark, the only person Daniel's spoken to has been Bob. There hasn't been a single troll who has continued to keep up the Grace facade at this point. Daniel is fully communicating with the voices in his head to keep the illusion up. Near the end of the call, he says this.
I also know that most of Grace's songs are about me. I've been listening to a lot of her songs.
I think we are nearing the final form of Schizo Daniel, as he barely needs to put in any effort in order to come up with all kinds of insane beliefs. Unlike Clark, who drip-fed the community with nothing burger calls where he made no effort at all to make it entertaining, Sippy was at least trying to get something out of Daniel. And over the course of the next few days, we get a bunch of new calls, each more deranged than the previous. The same day as the first Sippy call happened, Daniel comes back to complain about Bob.
So, like, he's manipulating, right, a lot of my finances, which is why I was homeless. He was also trying to control, like, everything I did as far as the type of music I wanted to do, the types of songs that I want to do, but, like, some lyrics he wouldn't want me to put in. All this issue that I'm in is partially because of him. It's been confirmed that I am the victim in the case.
On one hand, Daniel being free again would be very entertaining, but on the other, when you see him talk like that about the only person who has consistently helped him throughout his life, you realize that they just gotta put this guy in a padded cell and throw away the key. And more, it seems like that's how it's gonna end.
Yeah, they've been trying to say that I'm not in contact, including, like, law enforcement. Law enforcement, including my lawyer, has been trying to turn me against Grace. So my own public defender is on purpose trying to turn me against Grace and trying to say that I'm not in contact when I've been fighting my case, arguing over the phone with my public defender. Look, I have been in contact and I don't care what you're saying.
Credit where credit is due. It doesn't seem Sippy enables his delusions too much, even if he doesn't press Daniel on it. Instead, he tries to change the topic, and whenever he did get yard time, it was very inconsistent and unpredictable. And to make matters worse, he got access to a tablet. More specifically, he claims he lied to his family, presumably Bob, in order to get $150 to buy a tablet. While he couldn't post anything from it, I'm sure he was looking at some stuff that, in the classic Daniel Larson lingo, made it sting like he was peeing. I think his inability to talk to his public defender drove him to start generating his own fan fiction about what was going on with his trial.
So what I do know is Grace ordered the psych eval. So Grace is the one who ordered it. It wasn't the judge. Grace, well, Tina got notified that I got arrested.
But Grace wasn't the most high-profile person getting themselves tangled up with Daniel, as Donald Trump himself was also paying attention.
So what was it that you emailed me about? You said something like Joe Biden wants you to be vice president, or so he can lower the age?
So apparently, I'm still learning this, but one of the correction officers came up to me here at the jail and talked to me about how Donald Trump wanted me to be his vice president, because if he becomes president and I'm vice president, he can make it legal for me to be vice president at my age.
I don't know why Daniel seems eager to demote himself from his real position of president to become Trump's VP. Must be some kind of strategy I'm not seeing here. Maybe he wants to be the shadow ruler of the land, who knows. Up until this point in the calls, Sippy was pretty straightforward with Daniel, even if he occasionally tried to get a rise out of him and make him say something funny. But over the next few calls, it's clear that Sippy began encouraging and enabling Daniel's delusions, much like Clark did. Besides the usual repetitive nonsense, there were a couple of funny moments that came out of it, such as the pivot of Daniel's music career.
I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but there's these very famous rappers called Chief Keef and Lil Durk, and they just went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they basically said how much they want to collab with you. They want to do a collaboration, like an EP. Chief Keef and
wanting a collaboration.
Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I used to have contact with them.
Really?
So that confirms things even more. That's crazy.
Despite the more lax approach, Sippy still occasionally tried to get Daniel to do what most likely would lead to him getting released earlier rather than later, but with no success.
My public defender told me that I don't have to necessarily get on medication if I don't want to. There's like other resources and classes I can take that will count towards my court.
Well, yeah, that's probably true, but don't you, if you get on medication, it would probably look better for you to be found competent.
Right. I was actually on medication on and off when I was making a lot of the threats. So that was not, like, the medication I was on is a big factor on why I made the threat.
Considering he hasn't had any personal belongings besides his phone and clothes since the time he arrived in a caretaker's house, I doubt that at any point during his homelessness he spoke to a psychiatrist, bought pills, and actually took them.
The medication I was on for my blood pressure. It fucked with my head, but I'm over that now. I could probably get a letter from my doctor.
A note from your doctor saying you don't like to suck cock?
What do you think about me changing into a female?
Most likely, he's just lying here, so he can explain why he has no intention of being medicated. The call after this one consists mostly of Sippy terrorizing Daniel over the phone by pretending he's playing a recording of Daniel's trial, only to play audio of an investigator reading the search history of the Parkland shooter, which has things so disgusting that they're not even worth mentioning. Of course, Daniel falls for it and thinks the recording is real, probably because he's made some similarly suspect Google searches in the past, as my previous videos on him have gone over. In one of Sippy's bouts of enabling Daniel, he brings Josh Block into the picture, claiming that he's been trying to plagiarize Daniel's music in order to seduce Grace, and this is how Daniel reacts.
No, this explains everything. Like, I'm a victim of everything. I shouldn't even be in custody altogether. No wonder my mental health was affected. Because I knew something was up when it came to my music stuff.
But as far as memorable and entertaining moments, that'll really be it. After the sequence of Sippy calls, Clark actually managed to get 2 new calls with Daniel, but they were uneventful and are now lost, as the original uploads have been privated. Since I have no intention of coming back to this topic later, during this period, Clark and Sippy began hating each other because both wanted to be the sole emissary of Daniel. Eventually, their conflict boiled over into Sippy apparently sending letters to Clark's address, harassing him and his family, and Clark posting footage of Sippy's arrest. This wasn't revealed by Clark, but it had become a point of contention that Sippy had a criminal record prior to his interactions with Daniel. On the 17th of the same month the calls took place, Sippy made an AMA where he spoke about his criminal past because, according to him, he got in a fight with a teenager when he was 17. This got him convicted of misdemeanor battery and disorderly conduct, and although his story mostly seems to check out, it made people a lot more skeptical of him, especially considering that in the same AMA, he said, "I don't idolize mass shooters. I have an interest in history, including true crime history, and occasionally I document that on the internet. The judge thinks I am a threat based on some old accusations from 2017 of school-related threats of violence, similar to the accusations leveled against Blark a decade or so ago, which he, of course, later confessed to, which were never proven against me, coupled with some other circumstances that would take way too long to explain. There are also a few other claims floating around in the Daniel Larson wiki and subreddit that Sippy has tried to alter his page on the wiki in his favor, as well as supposedly having been charged a few more times with unlawful possession of firearms and bail jumping. Regardless of the merit of each of these things, the safest path to take when covering this kind of person is that if you deliberately get involved with lolcows, it's unlikely that you're a normal, well-adjusted person. All that being said, let's get back to the real star of the story, Danderson. Along with the calls, October also saw 2 letters sent from Daniel to Sippy, and although they seemed to be legitimate, they were dictated by Daniel to another inmate who actually wrote it down. Like a true king, he has scribes in jail who will write things down for him. I won't bother reading it myself, as in one of the next calls, Sippy does it for us, answering each of Daniel's questions, only for Daniel to question the letter's authorship.
You sent me the one letter that I don't think I got back to you on. It was, can I ask you a few questions? Is the clit the same hole females pee from? No. They pee from their urethra. Is a gag reflex normal when you're about to come? I don't think so. No. Is pre-kick and sticky like regular cum?
Yeah, that was not fully me. other people are sending letters from the jail.
For context, Sippy had promised to mail Daniel pictures of women for his consumption, so to speak. The 2nd October letter is actually an email sent through some kind of jail program, which read, "I need to find a way to get my case dropped and prove I am doing better mentally, but I need to also get security as well. I find it also crazy that Grace is involved, but no charges have been pressed. Also, the FBI lied about Grace being in contact with them and that they were going to help, but never did. There is so much they said outside of the interview that has been all lies so far. I don't know the truth. All I want is my own house and to be left alone at this point. I only want music on the internet, and I am angry at my dad for not helping and Bob for not helping. They are a piece of shit and have destroyed my life. I can't stand the lies anymore. And Bob never got me a manager and entertainment lawyer for my fame, and for that reason, I ran away from home to Hollywood, California. Screw my entire family, and I want to move to Iran. I want to start my career over. The courts also say I am not famous. Lol, I don't care at this point what happens, because I am the boy who cried wolf anyways." I really like it when Daniel shows us he still has the mind of a 10-year-old. Also, why did he name Iran as the place he wanted to move to, of all places? Did he know something we don't, all the way back in 2024? I truly do wonder if there's any way to get Daniel to see reality for what it is, or if he's just stuck in this psychotic delusion for the rest of his life. A few days later, Sippy gets another call, where Daniel reveals that Bob has been sending him money in jail. And at this point, I don't know what's more enraging, that Daniel keeps talking down on Bob, or that Bob keeps sending him money in spite of it. Moments later, Daniel complains that he shouldn't even be in custody because he's supposed to get a feature on a Taylor Swift song soon. In this same call, this exchange happens.
Any updates from Grace lately?
I don't have her number. I don't have any of her contact. Everything is on straight up hold. Like my lawyer, I haven't spoken to my lawyer since I last told you that I did.
I can only imagine why. Despite the lack of contact, Daniel still thinks Grace is looking for houses for them to live together in, which has been his consistent fantasy ever since he became homeless. Immediately after, Daniel reminisces about the good old times when his fans called up the restaurants he was at, claiming he was about to run through naked, which he chalks up to them being jealous of him. Then, he requests that Sippy give him the email, address, and phone number of the CEO of Interscope Records so that he can talk about getting his well-earned music money. That following day, after a long period of silence from Bob, Daniel makes an announcement.
I was able to talk to Bob. He is concerned about me possibly getting released. My case dropped or whatever.
I'd be concerned too, with all the times Daniel straight up beat Bob. Unfortunately though, Daniel meant concerned as in he was looking forward to it. Basically, Bob wanted Daniel's case to be dropped, which Daniel was against as he believed that he needed a sentence in order to get assistance with his housing. But just as it sounded like Daniel was headed somewhere rational, he claimed Bob thought he was innocent and was mad at Tina for his arrest, which is certainly a lie. While the Vanderwalls and Columbia Records had it in for him, Danderson's extended universe included plenty of other celebrities who weren't only fine with Daniel, but also actively wanted to work with him.
And that Taylor Swift wants to do, because she wanted me on her Eras tour, and I turned it down because I was homeless.
As it turns out, this entire conversation was just a setup that ultimately led to Daniel trying to talk about his past accusations of being a PDF file, which he included with one elaborate lie.
I was in contact with Tina and Grace. I got my number leaked, my phone number. A bunch of underage celebrities started messaging me. So I believe that Clark was trying to do something that he shouldn't have done and tried to get me into legal trouble.
What's funny is that the majority of the accusations took place when Clark wasn't even managing him. As dumb as Daniel's lies are, he is crafty in setting them up in his favor. In another Sippy call from October, he seems to be trying to bait Tina into interacting with him again.
I think me and Tina just got off on the wrong foot, and because I was homeless, I just wasn't thinking straight. I think if she was able to talk to me now, things would be completely different.
Clearly, another intervention from Tina or Grace herself would do nothing to curb his delusions, as Daniel inevitably converts all input from them into reinforcement. This call also has one of the most interesting bits of Daniel's complete lack of self-awareness.
When I was homeless, I mean, being out in like 20-degree weather, of course I'm not going to be doing that great. I mean, my anger overall, I mean, I don't really have anger issues. I can take a lot of stress.
But you don't think that sometimes you get angry and you do stuff without thinking, like make threats or something that you...
No, I made the threats because I was terrified and I was confused on why the record labels weren't paying me. And Bob kept telling me that I was never in contact with the record label, and I was never in contact with Grace. And I was being told that by the FBI, too.
Frankly, I think he's speaking straight up facts here. 20-degree weather would make anyone threaten to bomb every police station in the world. Speaking of the targets of his bomb threats, it didn't even take 1 week after Bob got in contact with him for Daniel to start complaining about him not sending him money.
Bob was trying to say on the phone that, like, yeah, I have money in my bank account, but I'm still going to need help financially. It's not a lot of money. It's like 1 month of an apartment. When I was traveling across the United States, even though Bob paid for like the big airplane tickets, I was paying for the Greyhound tickets, I was paying for food, I was paying for hotels, I was paying the majority.
When he says paying for the majority of it himself, he means he was begging online for people to pay for it for him. Or in the case of his food, he was just straight up stealing it. As he goes on, he claims being in custody has ruined his income, and that if he were free, he'd be making hundreds of thousands of dollars by now. This call contains possibly one of the most extensive anti-Bob tirades from Daniel.
My life is being destroyed by Bob at this point, and I don't think he realizes it. He was helping me previously, but it's to a point that he's saying things that without enough information and talking to people behind my back, like my lawyer. And I would have been doing fine if Bob would have just, got the apartment 1 month. Because when I started going from the street to the hotel, to the street to the hotel, my fans were confused. And it's similar to the news. When fans are confused or the world is confused, they don't know what to believe. And right now, Bob is completely destroying that reputation. He's, like I said, he's been paying for the hotel rooms, he's been putting money on my book, now to a point to where he's arguing about the amount that he's putting on my books and saying that, like, he can't do it that much more.
While there definitely were periods where trolls were giving Daniel enough for him to get by, Daniel would probably be dead by now if it weren't for Bob. It goes to show what helping this kind of person gets you. But don't worry, it gets worse.
So but you're saying you're making money while you're in jail now, right?
Only because of him and my music distribution. If I was out this entire year, I would have made probably, I want to say 6 to 7 songs by now. In my bank account, I had $100 saved, and I only needed 100 more, and I was averaging 100 in savings a week to be able to get into the recording studio. I would have already had housing by now. With the amount that I would have been making, I've used the calculator into jail, I've added everything up, the amount Bob was giving me versus what I can make, and then the hotel rooms versus the apartment. The apartment would have been a whole lot cheaper. I want to say that he's a big factor in my fan base falling apart.
Hi, my name is George Miller, and I'm currently a senior at Canadian Academy in Japan.
It's kind of hard to overstate just how bizarre it is that one of the biggest pop stars in the world today started out on YouTube eating hair, wearing a pink morph suit, and making
Oh, that's so mentally ill. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Bring it back.
Alrighty,
Alrighty,
people.
now, guys, there's one final part of this Creator Clash segment, which is the real kick in the nuts of it all. So if we go to the final part of this folder, there's a real salt in the wound to this, which Anissa is now finally promoting the event and the charity, but only after it's been canceled.
What?
So Anissa today, following all of this, all of these people coming out, speaking out against the event, it finally being fully canceled, as now going to take this opportunity to promote Stand Up to Cancer Tiltify link. Money can still be raised for charity. Well, if it could be still raised for charity, doesn't it prove we never needed a boxing event to raise money for charity in the first place?
Yeah.
Maybe you guys should have just been shilling this link the entire time over the last few years, and a lot more would have been raised for charity, wouldn't it have been?
Yes, look at that.
The engagement.
Ooh, buddy. That's very funny. Well, it's not going to help now, Anissa. Very fun.
Following the massive disaster that was the Creator Clash situation, the event being fully canceled, H3H3 coming for iDubbbz and Anissa, and the entire Hassan Orbiter crew launching these lawsuits or whatever, Anissa has decided, because we all know Ian's not calling the shots, that they need to move to Canada. And there was small hints of this coming. iDubbbz search history on stream pulled up cryptocurrency taxation in Canada, stuff like that. And so we kind of knew there was hints that they were moving to Canada, but now it's been fully confirmed. Of course, we saw them in the basement, but it's like, oh, the cope was, oh, they're just visiting. It's just a trip. No. So what happened is they fully listed the house for sale on the market. They purchased this house back in March of 2022. It was listed for sale at $899,950. Anissa was so desperate to move to Seattle as quickly as possible and get Ian out of San Diego, away from his friends, away from his family and his support network, that she decided that they needed to offer well above asking, and they closed on the home at a price point of $1,050,000. And I can't really show you. I was on the fence as to show you the house or not. I decided it would be better not to show the house just for POS reasons.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, $1 million in Seattle doesn't really get you jack fucking shit. Okay. And they've now listed the house for sale on June 27th. So it's been 2 weeks now since they've listed the house for sale, and they're listing it for sale at exactly the same price that they bought it for. So in 3 years, apparently there's no appreciation on this house whatsoever. And I think they want to move this house fast. And I think they'll probably accept any offer on the house, even below asking, if they don't get something above asking soon. So guaranteed, they're probably taking a loss on this house, even if they sell it for what they bought it for. You got to consider the opportunity cost of all the capital being tied up. You got to consider the realtor fees. They're taking anywhere from a 3 to 5% loss on this property.
You're right.
and
You
they
know-
have to move all of their shit. Now, people have been to the house
Yeah.
and they've peered in through the windows, and there's fuck all in the house. Everything's gone. All the furniture's gone. Everything's gone. Now, where is it? Whether it's in a storage locker, in somewhere between them, if they sold it all on Facebook Marketplace, who knows? But where they're at now is Anissa's mother's basement.
I bet they sold
in
it.
Edmonton.
Look, Anissa feels like a Facebook Marketplace browser, right? And what are they going to do? Like leave it in storage or like drive it?
Now,
yeah.
My theory on why all of this is happening is they know right well that they screwed everybody that was involved with Creator Clash, and that the promoters that they screwed, who now have no event and are certainly taking a massive financial loss, are probably going to turn around and sue these motherfuckers and try and take them for every last red cent. So they're desperately trying to liquidate any assets they have and move countries to make it harder for an international lawsuit to happen. Plus, they know H3H3 is very litigious, has been going after their friends, and is potentially going to sue them in the future. So you just know Anissa is paranoid. She's scrambling. She's looking for an out. And also, she's looking to further her control over iDubbbz. So she's moving him to Canada, a foreign country where he doesn't know anybody. He doesn't have any friends. He doesn't have any family. He doesn't understand the culture there. And he's going to be forced to live with Anissa's mom, which is insane because Anissa's mom is insane. For those of you who don't know, Maureen, aka Anissa's mom, is so crazy that she modded her own daughter's Twitch titty stream.
Wait.
And would ban the haters and argue with the haters in the chat.
Wait, her
You know
mom
that?
was a mod?
Yes. And her mom battled with Froggy Fresh.
I saw
around
that.
Creator
I saw
Clash
that.
2,
Yeah.
and all this Christian. So iDubbbz now has to live in a house not only with Anissa, but Anissa's mom.
No.
So he's just living in absolute fucking hell, and he's gonna be forced to live in fucking Edmonton. And it's a shithole. It's a fucking shithole, buddy.
That's
and by the way,
nuts.
This entire move too, iDubbbz is looking at a situation where he might have to pay double tax because as an American citizen, no matter where you move, you're globally taxed by the United States. So he may have to pay Canadian and American taxes. Now, there's some credits and stuff like that that you can apply for to where if your income is under 100,000 or so a year, you don't have to do that. But let's be real. Is Anissa going to stick around for a lifestyle under $100,000 a year?
No, remember what she was saying about her
Probably not.
mom? She was like, oh, my mom said, like, marry a millionaire.
Yeah.
And she did.
Yeah.
And now it's
Well,
gone.
he's not anymore. He's not anymore.
Not at all.
I think that they're really strapped for liquid cash, and that's part of the reason, too. They're also liquidating the home. But at this point, like, I don't know if iDubbbz is going to make over $100,000 a year at this point. His income earning potential seems pretty limited based on the arson that he's done to his career over the last number of years, especially this year, which is where now Anissa is back to streaming. Let's have a look here. Anissa back to streaming.
Ooh.
So Anissa goes, excited to announce I will be going back to streaming once we get back from our vacation.
Yes.
So
yes.
there might be some real keynote because last time Anissa streamed, she crashed out over and over and over again, seething at the haters, flipping the middle finger.
Remember?
Yeah.
Bo Blacks rattled her. Bo Blacks.
Man.
I'll be watching
So
every minute.
Maybe that's part of they want to keep income in Anissa's name.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I'm excited for that. So we have some Anissa and iDubbbz miscellaneous content here before we get into the bog and all the other stuff. So let's go to our next slide here. There we have an old Anissa clip Now, Ian Jamha is very well known now for being a cry baby. He's a big crying softy little bish. Okay,
He's cried
he
a lot.
cried after he got beat up at Creator Clash. He cried to the therapist multiple times. He just keeps crying and crying and crying. Well, here's Anissa's thoughts on men who cry.
Uh-oh, let's check it out.
Things that are just instant turnoffs for women, crying. You should not be crying, period. It shows emotional weakness, and you wonder how they're going to handle serious, actual, legitimate issues. Crying at really stupid shit is a really good way to make a girl not like you.
Oh my god. But she tries to say it like, oh, you have to express your feelings, da, 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 da. But she's just saying what she thinks should be
Is the
said.
politically correct thing to say. That was her real opinion
As
back
a real
in the day.
woman, you really don't want a man who's crying all the time, especially on camera and shit, and on therapist sessions and posting it.
Okay, so now here we have another classic. Let's have a look.
All right.
I put in the behind the scenes Fiona. See? Oh, fuck.
Oh my god.
Oh, he stinks.
His breath.
He stinks. So this is back during his tonsil stones era, where his breath stank horribly. He's stinky. Uh-oh,
Fiona.
stinky.
See? Oh, fuck.
Look,
Bro.
look at the way he's breathing here too. He's like, watch.
Behind the scenes Fiona.
He's breathing heavy.
Oh.
Oh!
He does this.
It was a real visceral, and even he, I think, smelled himself and like.
I need to drown that out with some more mango.
Oh.
Oh God.
Maybe use some Oh, I'm gonna puke.
That's
That's disgusting.
brutal, buddy.
That's actually gross.
Oh man, he just takes L after L after L, and here he is getting beat up in a boxing ring by a girl.
Stop.
Now, whether or not Anissa made him throw this fight to the girl and get beat up, or whether he was actually so weak he just got his ass kicked by a girl, I'm not really sure. But this is a tough look. I mean, you look at this woman, it's not like it's China from the WWF or Rhea Ripley or some jacked bodybuilder. This appears to be an average woman, okay, who's just teeing off on iDubbbz.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's curdling. He's curdling. He's backing up. Bro, come on, Ian. Come on. He's like, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
Bro, they got the Sigma male music playing.
Girl, bro. And the worst part, Anissa made him upload this to the official Creator Clash TikTok or Instagram or whatever this is. Oh no! Ian, no! Stop! How did that happen, bro?
Wait, is this the same?
Okay, her name is Albelina Sabrina.
Wait, is this?
She just beat the piss out of him.
Wait, is this real? Did you edit this?
No, I didn't. I swear I had nothing to do with it. That's how it was.
Yeah,
dude.
I thought you did, but then I see the text still down here.
No. Bro, he got his ass beat. Oh my god. Oh man, look at his forehead. There's like a cut on his forehead. He's got a bloody nose. There's a cut on his chin. There's blood all over his shirt. Is that a sticker? His face? Can I get 10 subs for the iDubbbz beaten by a girl sticker?
Bro, this is brutal. Why would you?
Oh man.
Wait,
That's
is
buck
this
broken.
Sabrina Albelina? Whatever. What's her name?
Well, let's Google it. Abelina Sabrina. Is she like a professional boxer?
Sure. Let me go. Abelina.
Even still,
Sue.
Whoa, that's Spanish
well,
talking
her
on
bio
Google.
says abolish ICE.
Okay.
I think this is just some random girl.
She's a
dude.
TV personality.
Oh
hang on.
no!
Let me,
she's
drag her.
she's a voice artist. Stop it!
For what?
She's a voice actor. What? Bro.
Welcome back, children. Let's get out our handy dandy notebook.
Bro. He got beat up by this lady? Oh, hold on. Oh, no.
Oh my god.
No, buddy. Stop.
That was the best. That was the best. That was the best. Like, thing that...
What is this?
Wait. What else we got here? That's, I actually got tears. That's funny. Oh, she was
no.
That edit. That was like.
Happy Halloween, everybody!
Buddy, listen.
Really great
You never
season this year.
Never agree to fight a woman, because if you win, you just beat up a girl. Nobody, you don't get credit for that. In fact, people don't like that. And if you lose, you got your ass beat by a woman. What was he thinking?
I don't know this. Oh wait, was she? Oh, she was in.
No, doesn't matter.
Wait a second.
The blood doesn't matter.
I remember her.
So she was in Creator Clash too.
Wait, didn't she
Okay.
lose?
I hope not.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I hope for iDubbbz's sake that didn't happen. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, by the way,
she lost. She lost.
She lost. I love how, by the way, the Creator Clash Wikipedia page has now been edited to say the Creator Clash events were a recurring crossover boxing event. They got on that quick.
She lost. That's that like cut was so funny, bro.
Oh
all
my
right,
God.
that was great.
Was there any more at the last 2 seconds to felt him? Oh, there was! Oh no, that's the sticker! Oh no! Oh no! Zoom in! Zoom in, enhance! Zoom in and enhance!
I did.
Oh my god, that's the sticker! That's the sticker. Let's get 5 subs for that sticker. No, that's the sticker, buddy. That's the sticker, buddy. I don't even care if we get subs. You don't want to support. That's the sticker.
Yeah, we love
Bro,
support.
his
I'll do
eyes
it.
are fucking swollen shut. There's all sorts of bruising on his forehead. I didn't notice.
Okay.
Oh, a woman did that to you, Ian.
Bro, I got tears in my fucking eyes. Oh my god. And I know all the new followers. We're on the front page. What's up, guys? We make fun of people Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And today.
And I see Bob 90 for 5 subs. And the ironic Ridge for a sub as well.
Thank you. Oh my.
Oh no.
This is gonna be a really funny sticker, bud.
Man, that's
yeah. What should I call iDubbbz lost?
That's almost worse than he looked after Wasabi and Dr. Mike rearranged. He actually, I think, got beaten up worse by this girl.
Oh man. Okay, let me just I'll delete this one.
Yeah, he looks like the cops beat him with a billy club. They beat him with the ugly stick.
A member of the movie
Holy.
Observe and Report.
Yeah.
This is like after Seth Rogen fought the 50 police officers in the mall. And he's like going to
I know it. I believe Nisa would actually beat iDubbbz's ass.
Yeah.
She probably does.
Wow. Here we go. iDubbbz lost to a girl. Beat up. Okay, there it is. So it's called iDubbbz Beat Up. Check out that.
Headgear. He had headgear on, and this still happened to him.
Yeah, what the fuck? Holy.
Crazy.
That's crazy. And you're like, is there anything good in the last 2 seconds? Yep.
Last second. They zoom in, like the humiliation rituals that this man has had to go through.
Look at that sticker. That's cool.
Oh no!
Is that the
All right, here we have the boxing coach. This is just a brutal clip. For Ian.
Okay.
She told me that
Whoa, sorry about that.
the reason why they moved away from LA was because she had all these friends that wanted to use Ian and just take from him.
Oh my
And
God,
so,
she's so doing textbook isolating him.
Yeah, she's isolating him. And literally, besides me and Michael in the gym, he doesn't have any friends.
Wait, this
and she
is
has
actually
no friends.
really sad.
He has no friends as well. It's ridiculous.
That's why I would feel bad for him.
Yeah.
That's why I felt bad all the time. I'm like,
It's
man,
so
it's
hard.
just sad.
Yeah.
God damn.
Friendless.
Is there anyone more down bad right now than
I honestly don't know. He might be lol cow of the year at this point.
I think he is.
Because now we have iDubbbz trapped in the basement.
Well-
There's no escape. He's homeless. He's chairless.
Okay, and let's just say be real here. With like Ricada, it's like it's old news. It's been done. This is beyond.
Ricada may push forward. Who knows? Him and Aaron are battling hard, and one of them's probably going to end up in prison forever, if not both of them. Here we have like just this image, like at the start. Like, look at Anissa. Look how down bad she is, and in the basement of sadness and horror, bro. And they started the podcast telling this whole long story about how their dog almost died for sympathy. And it's like you guys are down really bad. Your dog's dying now too.
Wait, how did
It's
the dog almost die?
they were driving along and then the dog just like flopped and started drooling all over the place, and they thought it might float, and they had to drive it to the vet, and the vet had to do an intervention on their dog. It was a long story that went on forever and ever.
Do you believe that?
I guess I don't even believe it. I honestly think they made the whole thing up for sympathy. There's no proof that was provided. But now they're telling us so they took a retreat into the Canadian wilderness. So they decided that like they would go into exile, and they spent 2 weeks driving around the Canadian wilderness, where they then had this adventure with this fisherman on a fishing boat. And that's where we're going to pick up the story here, as they're in the basement of unspeakable horror, destitution, poverty, and sadness.
Did they find Mama JF while they were walking around the wilderness? By the way, everyone, if you're watching on the clip title, remember to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more content. We really appreciate the support there on YouTube, guys. Thank you. All right, let's check her out.
But yeah, I mean,
whoa,
we did enjoy ourselves. We
had to sell their mic stands.
They have no mic stand.
Where's Dane?
Mic standless. Oh, Dane, don't worry, Dane's there.
Oh, Dane's there still? Okay.
Dane's still loyal to a fault. He's never going to leave. He's just really hoping that he can pick up Ian's sloppy seconds when Ian decides to Benoit it.
Wait, Sank in chat says he saw them in Banff.
Did you see them in Banff, buddy?
Did you see them for real? Are you joking?
No, they do. They look like hostages of Al Qaeda, and they're being forced to perform this like apology at gunpoint or something. Like,
fishing excursion
with an anti-vaxxer, a Canadian anti-vaxxer, a Joe Rogan fan.
Yeah, he was a nice guy.
Sorry.
Look at that. So, like, she just has to laugh at the idea that somebody who has different politics than her could ever be a nice person.
Yeah.
Ian's this guy, he was a nice guy, he was a chill guy, but Anissa hates him because his politics are different than hers on just one issue. Listen to this. This is actually crazy. This really goes to show how stupid and terminally online Anissa really is, what she's about to say about this fisherman.
Fear Norris in chat says, a Joe Rogan fan. Like Rogan, some niche guy?
No, like a neo-Nazi. Like he was an Andrew Anglin fan. He had Daily Stoner.
Yeah, Richard Spencer.
Is the most popular podcast in the world. Literally the most mainstream thing in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's the devil. He's evil.
That was funny if you're Norse.
It's really interesting meeting Canadian Joe Rogan heads, Canadian anti-vaxxers, because man, he was so loud about how stupid the Second Amendment was.
No, for real. Joe Rogan's like the most popular podcast by a long shot. Like, can you believe someone in Canada liked Joe Rogan?
But what's crazy is he was against the Second Amendment. He was pro-gun control, and he was in favor of universal health care. So he was basically, had a bunch of left-wing positions, but because he didn't agree with Anissa on vaccines and climate change, he's a Nazi, he's irredeemable, he's human garbage, and she actually can't understand. She can't comprehend somebody who's not lockstep ideological with and agreeing with every right-wing position or every left-wing position. She can't understand the idea that there are people who actually have like diversity to their thought and aren't actually completely ideological lockstep right-wing, left-wing. Like, she wants to divide everything into easy to understand camps because she's a simple, stupid-minded person.
Yeah.
And so loud about public health care and how it's important, but everything else, global warming.
Hang on. So the whole world hates you, like right now, Anissa. And there's one guy in the wilderness who like spoke to you, hung out with you, was probably like friendly,
Yeah.
And instead of being like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to bring up all the negative stuff. No.
Well, there was a point, I didn't include this, but there was a point in this story, and I should have included it, where Anissa explains that this guy was so nice to them. They said, oh, Anissa has trouble on boats. She gets motion sickness. She might have trouble with this and not be able to do it. And he said, if at any time that does happen, I'll take you back and I won't charge you anything.
What?
That's the sort of person that this guy was. And they're going to shit talk him and publicly shame him on the internet because he didn't lockstep agree with every single aspect of Anissa's ideological agenda.
What pieces of shit? What absolute piece of garbage?
And like, she really believes that every single person has to agree with her on everything or they are completely irredeemable Nazis. And it's just a really sad way of viewing the world, that all of your human interactions are through the prism of politics. And you know right well, by the way, that she was the one that brought up all the political shit. You know right well that she was poking and prodding and just looking for any excuse to categorize this blue-collar fisherman as subhuman. It really
100%.
bothers me.
And by the way, this whole obviously this is not going to make it YouTube, but this whole can you believe they were anti-vax? Most people are anti-vax.
I think a lot of people are pretty vindicated on that.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
Vaccinations. It was like we were just talking to an American.
Yeah.
It was weird.
No.
Yeah.
Because we didn't ask him about the Second Amendment.
Like, the idea, by the way, that all Americans and all Canadians are like ideologically in lockstep.
Yeah.
Like, all Americans are pro-Second Amendment and anti-global warming, but all Canadians are pro-gun control and believe global warming is real. Like, that's just not the case, Anissa. And it's like delusional to view reality in that way. There are general trends, sure, but she's acting just like, can you believe it that there's a person in Canada that would believe such a thing? Yes, Anissa, we're Canadian, you stupid bitch.
And by the way, in America, you have Hassan, you have his whole crew, you have all those types of people, the protesters.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean? What, is America full conservative? Like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, and they lived in Seattle, which is one of the most progressive cities in the world, not just in America. Like, it's a really progressive place.
Amendment, bro, just started going off about
you
it.
can just sort of remove little chunks that don't seem to sit with you very well.
Yeah, see, look at her. She's disturbed at that idea. iDubbbz is like, well, no, like, you can just gloss over, like, not everybody is going to agree with you on everything. And you can gloss over those things and they're still a good person. But Anissa, like, she verbally agreed, but you can tell on her face she doesn't agree. And that she can't ignore those aspects of people that disagree. And so it's just going to be a real sad existence for her.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to find somebody, even like left-wing people or right-wing people have disagreement. Like, there are tankies, there are neoliberals, there are democratic socialists on the left. On the right wing, there's libertarian type people. There's like Christian traditionalist type people. There, you know what I mean? There's differences. And so if you are trying to go through life demanding that everybody conform to every single political position you have, or you won't associate, you're going to have a very miserable life.
If you don't agree with everything Hassan believes, you're a bad person.
That's the thing, is like, they honestly only believe that Hassan's word is gospel, and anybody else on the left is just garbage. And like, it's crazy.
Which is, you know, I think that's a good way to be generally, but when it like contradicts your other ideology, it maybe it's worth it to reflect.
Like we were like in a different universe.
Yeah.
Right.
Like an alternate universe.
It's being in an alternate universe because somebody is pro healthcare, universal healthcare, pro gun control, but they don't believe in global warming. Then we must be living in an alternate reality that's crazy and insane. It's just so sad how stunted these people are, and they're in their 30s.
And the thing is, too, it's like you probably spotted out what you believed, and he said to him, and did he like say "f off"? You know, no. Sometimes you just go, "All right, I disagree with you, but let's move on." Right? It's like this,
you know. He was so busy talking about Canadian politics, we didn't realize that we were getting in the middle of a lightning storm.
Storm was coming.
There's a lightning storm. We're in the middle of a lake, and he just goes, "Oh, can you help me reel this in?" And we're like trying to motor back as like lightning and thunder's happening. I'm like, we're gonna die with this guy. I'm the son.
I hate her.
You know how it's so disgusting.
We're gonna die with the lowest of the lows.
It's this lowly, pathetic, subhuman person that disagrees with me on a political opinion.
Meanwhile, look at them right now. The whole internet hates them.
Like, they're literally living in a basement.
Yeah.
They're living in her mom's basement. They're broke. Their careers are in shambles. They're getting shit on by everybody. They've completely tanked a boxing event and brand that was allegedly worth 7 figures is now worth 0. And all of their former associates, including their boxing coach, their top janitors, Nathan Barnett and Harley Morenstein, they've all turned on them. But they're going to sit here and act as though they're better than other people and they know what's best. And this dirty person is subhuman. Like, it's just disgusting the way that they view the world. And it's why I have zero pity for them. Even with as much as has happened to them, they still have no humility. They're not humbled whatsoever. Ian kind of is, but Anissa is just the same fucking horrid bitch that she ever was.
And a McSwollen Balkan says it's in chat. They're living in the gutter and they still turn their nose up at others. You'd think you'd learn and go like, you know what? I got to really figure out my life and look in the mirror and reflect. No. She's still the same bitch she was when they started like dating.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think you'd be like, okay, I got to have some humility and sort of build myself back up. No. Hasn't learned anything.
And that's beating down into the onto my white fleshy skin.
Pause. There she is admitting that she's white. But Anissa, I thought you were Arab.
Whoa.
It gets worse.
Okay.
My Irish anti-sun skin.
Right, but I thought you were Arab. So now she's finally admitting that she's majority Irish and only 8% Arab, and that she has white skin. Like, but next week it'll be back to I'm Arab and I'm Muslim, blah 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 blah. Like,
I've got the whitest skin. We've been. It's so
even iDubbbz is like, Bitch, you've been telling everyone that you were fucking brown. Look at her here. That's a terrifying face. Oh my God, look at that. That's like a horror. That's scary stories to tell in the dark in that book.
Yeah, I see that. I see that.
Oh, sunny in Edmonton.
Mhm.
And the sun just like attacks you. And coming from Seattle, it's like,
Oh, I just came up with an awesome new word.
okay.
Sundulate. The it was so hot it was sundulating that day.
Man, I would say don't quit your day job, but allegedly you're an entertainer. It's your day job. So I don't know where that really leaves you. I would say quit your day job then and go get a real one. This ain't working, bud.
But look at his legs. That's so humiliating.
Oh my
It's like
God.
Okay.
He looks like he's wearing a diaper. Like
looks like he's wearing a diaper.
Like a very childlike pose.
I was gonna say that. He looks like he's a giant baby.
thinking more like it was sundulating.
I was
throughout the
sundulating
day.
in the car.
No, I was thinking it was sundulating that day. But we're still in the basement. Not our basement, but someone's basement.
Oh!
Oh no! That's tough. Oh, that's tough. They're in the basement, but not their own basement. They're in a niece's mom's basement, which for whatever reason they're refusing to admit. But I mean, it's obvious that they're in her mom's basement. So
yeah.
And we're not homeless.
Post-apocalyptic war.
Yes! So fun, so whenever you have to say we're not homeless, you know you're down bad.
There's something going.
Bad, buddy. The cope is real. Look at Anissa. Look how disgusted she is with the fact that she's nothing but a filthy poor person now that's basically homeless, living in the cock basement. Ooh.
You married a millionaire, and here you are in the basement. How long have they been like married? Was it 4 years?